Oh.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to ATL Sports HQ Live Episode 2, the podcast for the fans, by the fans. My name is Bob Lancaster. You can follow me on Twitter at @BowlinBob.
How's it going, everybody? I'm ATL Phil. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at _ATL Phil.
I'm Daric Clemens. You can follow me on Twitter at DClemens.
All right, man. You can follow us on the site at atlsportshq.com and ATL Sports HQ on YouTube. Also want to let you know we are still looking for a name for our podcast. We're giving away a free Game Time Radio t-shirt for someone who can come up with a good podcast name for us. So shoot us over your ideas and suggestions at ATL Sports HQ on Twitter as well. All right, guys, let's get to the first topic of discussion, the Atlanta Hawks. 1-3 in the last 4 games. Took the L to Sacramento. A win at Miami. Miami. How about Miami? The loss at Charlotte and a loss at the New York Knicks. We know the negatives of the team, especially this last week. But let's look at the positives here. So what was the game you liked the most this week and why? Go ahead, Phil.
Well, I mean, obviously the Miami game because we won. But I think it was that Sacramento. Oh, no, yeah, I'm just playing. But definitely the Miami game. We showed a lot of energy. We showed a lot of poise. We showed some maturity. There was a lot of points in that game where we could have just let go and threw that game away because like every team is going to make runs. It's how you respond to those runs, and oftentimes this season. We are awful at responding to the runs. Once we get down 16, or once we get down like 6, all of a sudden it's 16, and that's pretty much game, unless it's the Dallas game. So, we just got to do a better job, not turning the ball over, playing confident. But they've come out with really good energy since that Sacramento game.
Daric, what you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously agree with Phil. I mean, definitely the win, but I think over these past couple of games, we've seen a improvement on both ends. I mean, we're playing closer. Besides that Sacramento game, that game was one of the hardest games to watch this year.
Well, imagine being at it.
Oh, yeah, you was at it. So, yeah.
You get to hang with 2 people that had to watch that up close, and, it wasn't pretty. That was probably the worst effort. And maybe it's just coming off. They did look sluggish and tired, especially – in the second half of that game, and it was by the fourth quarter. Phil and I were ready to do anything but watch that game.
I'm pretty sure I turned it off in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, with about 6 minutes to go, I just kind of got up and talked to Eve.
Time to pace around the stadium.
Game.
I'm actually going to disagree with the both of you. My favorite game of this last 4 was against the Knicks. I really, really enjoyed the effort that was put into that game. I think, if we could have just made a defensive stop in the last 3 or 4 possessions there, we could have pulled that game off. And I don't remember what we were down.
From winning that game, there was a stretch. I think a bad rotation ended up getting them a 3 when we were down. Like when we got it down to 2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah, it was to where we just needed like one big defensive stop. But we, after that third quarter, I think we were down by at least 13 or 14. I can't remember. But the game was pretty much, I thought, over, especially because that's how most of our losses have been this year. Has been, we give it up in the third quarter, and then there's just not really that effort there in the fourth quarter, especially defensively. But I thought. As hard as it's believed, Plumlee really seemed to energize that team. I thought that two-hand put-back jam had everybody off the bench, and that's when it seemed to really turn around for them to make that comeback. I just thought that was, to me, was the most energy that I've seen from that team. Especially in the losses. We see everybody has energy when you're winning, but it's what you're showing when you aren't winning. That impresses me.
We would have won that game if Emmanuel Mudiay wouldn't have freaking made that mid range.
Yeah.
Well, that was crazy. But shout out to Trae Young in the last week. He really has struggled with his three-point shot, but he's still having a huge impact on all these games.
Yeah, I think that's the most impressive thing from him in his rookie season, and him being able to do more with this game if his shot's not falling. I mean, he's attacking the rim perfectly, especially for that size. It's just good to see that. And I mean, I've really been impressed with his fourth quarter play. It's been amazing every time he's came up clutch in the fourth quarter.
Looking like a vet, and he's looking like a closer, something that we struggled with our 60-win season.
It's the biggest change to me that I've seen this year with the point guard department, as to where Dennis, he never really, if his shot was off, it was all about moping, and he wasn't doing anything outside of shooting the ball. And Phil and I, we talked about this earlier, with the Oklahoma kind of having a winning streak right on. But if you look at Dennis's stats, assists aren't there. He's just been scoring. And so, they're quickly going to realize when the scoring goes away, he's not doing anything really extra to help that team win. But you're definitely right about Trae Young in that aspect. Is he brings so much more than just, a 3-point shot to the game. And that, a lot of people didn't realize that because, his shooting obviously was focused majority in college. That's what everybody talked about, is how he could put up that 30 to 40 point game really quick. But man, he was always been such a crisp passer. And it's, we talked last week on the podcast that, the guys around him weren't really catching those passes. But I thought this week it looked like less turnovers off his passes. When I know in the Sacramento game, he turned the ball over a lot off the dribble, not as much pass wise, but he's definitely showing, he showed improvement throughout the week, I thought. Now, what player has surprised you the most this week and positively? Go ahead, Daric.
I'm gonna say Kent Bazemore, and it's not mostly a surprise. It's more I would expected him to be like this. I expected him to be like that last year too, and I mean he showed signs of it, but he's becoming more in control of his game and taking care of the ball better and getting the younger guys together. So I mean I've been surprised a little bit with his play and his scoring ability. Now he definitely needs to pick it up on defense. I mean, he let Tim Hardaway get there. Did he guard him last game? I can't remember.
Yeah.
He let Tim Hardaway get 32 games on him. Like his defense really hasn't been that good this year.
Would you consider him to be the team leader now? As far as vet, as being the leader of the team.
Yeah, it seems like he is, and I mean I hope he is because he's a good locker room guy.
Yeah, I think that's why we were able to keep him. Why we kept him around in a rebuild is because of how he is in the locker room. So, what do you think, Phil? Who was the player that surprised you the most positively this week?
Gotta go with Jeremy Lin. He's been balling since.
Yeah, he's been nice.
He's put together several good games in a row now. For as bad as he started, for as bad as he looked, I think now he's adjusting to not having his speed anymore. He's letting the game come to him. He's learning how to play the game without his speed that he used to rely on. Playing a lot more under control, and his shot is finally starting to fall.
Defensively, I still think he's a step behind. But I definitely agree with you on the offensive side of things. I mean, he was the leading scorer in the Sacramento game, and then I thought he played really, really well in this last game against the Knicks. But my only issue with him is that the game just seems to get out of hand when he's running point. I'm not sure why. I'm not sold that it's him or anything like that, but it just does seem like whenever he's in the game and Trae sits is when they're starting to make those bigger runs, and it doesn't take much to get down, 10, 13, points like that, really quick. But for me, the player that surprised me the most positively is Miles Plumlee. I mean, the guy knows he's pretty much the last option off the bench. And when he came out yesterday, and you would have thought he's the first option of the bench, the amount of energy that he brought to that team and like I said, pretty much turned the game around to where they almost won. To me, that's going to show, that maybe he's going to start getting a little more minutes in there. I thought he was aggressive rebounding, which is something I think this team desperately needs.
Yeah, bouncing off the Miles Plumlee. I think he saw all my crap talking last year on Twitter, and he decided to go put on some muscle, and he was going to turn into a new player.
Uh-huh.
It seems like every time he's gotten into the game this year, he's had a good impact. He's just buried on the bench.
I thought he was better than Alex Lynn. I mean, I thought he was better than Alex Lynn. Do you think he's better than Alex Lynn, Daric?
I think Alex Lynn has actually played kind of well. I mean, obviously, there's been times where it's hard to even watch him, but I mean, I think he's had a positive impact on the team at points. I'd rather see him playing than Plumlee.
Definitely, me too.
Well, Plumlee still can't catch the ball if we put it right in front of him.
Small steps, Phil. Small steps. We can't have him be an all-star. Yeah, you got to work up to it. So
we get our money.
All right, enough of this positivity stuff. We're going on a West Coast swing here now, and what I'm looking for from you guys is how bad is it going to be against Golden State? I want to know how many points will Golden State score against us in this game on the West Coast swing.
112? No, at least 140. But watch the Hawks because, we're the Hawks. So watch us somehow make that a competitive game.
I'm not even going to be that optimistic. I mean, it's not even going to be close. We play the Lakers Sunday, and then there's the Warrior game Monday or Tuesday.
I think we go to Denver on the second half of the back-to-back, which is.
Okay.
But I think it goes Lakers Sunday, Warriors Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
Nuggets. Oh, Nuggets is actually Thursday.
Okay, so yeah. After playing LeBron and the young Lakers that are going to be running up and down, then playing the Warriors, they might score 150 points.
The only way they don't score 150 or more is if they rest some of these starters, knowing that they're playing the Hawks.
I think the starters will probably not even be playing mostly the second half.
That's our only chance, that we have of winning that game. That's for sure. So
hey, look for Trae Young though. He's gonna try to do something to Curry, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'm excited for the whole, with the West Coast swing coming up. That's the matchup I'm most excited to see is, to have that, I guess the people always say the teacher versus the student, but, he's most compared to Steph. So
I don't think either of them will guard each other.
Yeah, I mean, you just never know. The one thing about it is
he might guard. Do what?
What'd you say?
He might guard Steph, but I don't think Steph doesn't really guard little point guard.
Yeah, that's true.
He struggles with them. He couldn't even guard Dennis.
Yeah, I just think, again, the only way is, like I said, is if they sit their starters, but, what an upset that would be. I'd love for them to take that game, but I just, maybe if it was the first game on the West Coast swing and you're fresh and all that, I could see them maybe pulling off an upset, but man, that's a brutal game to have. It's
going to be interesting. We're going to see the real Trae Young because he's going to go against these tough defenses in the West. So I think we're going to get a chance to see what he's really made of through this little stretch.
Real Hawks.
Yeah. And I don't think I'm ready to see that yet.
Well, hopefully we get our boy John Collins back. I know the Hawks sent out an injury update earlier this week. He should be participating in a contact practice tomorrow, so he should be back. I don't want to speculate any actual days, but he should be back within the next.
They're definitely not going to rush him back.
Yeah, no.
I'm excited. I can't wait to see what those two do together. I just, the two young guns, the future of our team, we haven't had a chance to see them play together, I mean, other than, maybe, I don't know how much of the
great.
Yeah, preseason's preseason, though. I'm ready to see it in the regular season when everybody's, playing for real, I guess. So, all right, let's jump over to the exciting Atlanta United. They handled the first leg It was when was that first? Well, that was Saturday, right?
The Sunday night 1-0.
Sunday night. Uh-huh.
Good,
All right, Phil.
but we're not going to put it.
Give us the overview of the first leg of the Eastern Conference semis. What was good? What was bad?
Yeah, so actually, Atlanta United came out and dominated, and this isn't just a road win. This was at NYCFC, the best home team in MLS. You know, that team had lost one home game all year. So definitely they came out, they showed a lot of fight, they showed a lot of toughness, they showed a lot of grit, they showed composure. They didn't get down after VAR took away that first goal, even though it might have been the right call at the end of the day, but it's supposed to be clear and obvious when they go to VAR, and there was nothing clear and obvious about that play. But, you know, we really, after that disaster in Toronto, a lot of people, including myself, were really nervous about going into NYC. I even said the week before, it wouldn't surprise me if we came back home down 3-1. But we went out there and we took care of business. New York had 0 shots on goal. That is huge for an attacking team like New York who scores in bunches at home. They just beat Philadelphia, which was a very good team, Wednesday night, 3-1 in the playoffs. So we went up there, we took care of business. Now we have to come home and take care of business. All the pressure is on New York. We were up 1-0. We have one away goal as a tiebreaker. So as long as we win or draw, we're on to the next round. Now it gets a little interesting. We can lose 1-0 and still move on. But if New York scores, if it's 1-1, then we go to extra time and then eventually penalty kick out, penalty shootout if they don't score in that extra time period. But if New York scores more than one, that means they have more away goals and they get the tiebreaker. So we would have to either draw or win. But definitely
now, in the other Eastern Conference semi, who's it looking like on that side? So if we win, who might we play in the Eastern Conference Finals?
So right now, Columbus is actually up on the other New York team, New York Red Bulls. Yeah, our good friends, New York Red Bulls. They're actually up 1-0. They scored at home in the first leg, so they have a leg up right now. So New York, all the pressure is on Red Bulls. All the pressure is on them, period. You know, they're the best team ever. They won the Supporters' Shield. If they don't finish the job and win MLS Cup, what does this season really mean to them? So all the pressure is on them. Now they have to come home and get a victory. Columbus is a very gritty team. If you recall last year, they came into Atlanta. They spoiled our debut. They beat, I can't remember who they beat in the second round, but they actually competed with Toronto, who then was last year the best team ever. They pushed them to the brink in the Eastern Conference Final last year. So Columbus is a gritty team. But I tell you this, I'll be rooting hard for Columbus on Sunday. I do not want to see New York Red Bull in the Eastern Conference Finals.
I definitely agree with that. I think that we have a much better shot at beating Columbus. New York, there's a reason why they do have that supporter shield. That's yeah.
That's
because it would be kind of cool to take them out of the playoffs, especially since they took that supporter shield from us.
But I want the easiest path.
Yeah, everybody wants the easiest road to the cup. That's for sure. So
hopefully nobody's listening in Columbus.
Yeah, let's not give them any fuel. That's just what we don't need around here. So
they already have enough fuel with probably losing their team. So
when is Atlanta playing next?
So we got Sunday at 5. Really, it's 5:30. Don't let them talk you into tuning in at 5, getting ready for kickoff. It's 5:30.
Nice. Well, hopefully, the Atlanta curse is not alive. And we did work on the road. Now it's time to do the work at home, and let's finish that off and let's get to the finals.
It's going to be sunny and cold, so the roof might be open.
Yeah. That's. I was looking at that before to see if I wondered if they would have the roof open.
Well, I don't know how they do it for minimum temperature. They never had that problem arise. So.
make it as uncomfortable for the opposing team as possible. That's how I always look at it. When you have a roof like that. If it's freezing or something like that, make it as uncomfortable for the opposing team as possible. So. All right, well, we'll hope for their win, and hopefully next week we'll be talking about the Eastern Conference Finals instead of not talking about soccer whatsoever. So, all right, well, let's get to the Atlanta Falcons. They're 4-4 after a huge win against Washington. Absolutely clobbered Washington 38-14. Matt Ryan was fantastic as always. Really, really spread the ball around, I thought, this time. Julio finally got on the board. So my question for you, Daric, is, was this the best game the Falcons have put together as a team this year?
Oh, there's no question about that. It was definitely the best game. I mean, the defense was there. The offense was there. Sure, I think we should have even won even more. That interception that happened, that pushed us back a little bit and gave the Redskins some momentum to score. But, I mean, the defense was just on point, and we haven't seen them be that good this year because of all the injuries. I guess they were kind of like that in the Eagles game, but that was before the injuries. And then it was just good to see everybody on the offense doing well. Calvin Ridley started off struggling, but then he picked it back up and had an impressive game. And then it's just great to get the monkey off Julio's back with that touchdown. And I think we'll see another one this week in Cleveland. And, I mean, Matt Ryan, he had another, like you said, another career game. The run game was there from Ito and Tico. And, I mean, I just think we played well, and that's exactly what we needed coming out of the bye. And I think if we just keep continuing to play like that, we can make a playoff run. And we'll be scary in the playoffs if we can get there.
So what you think? Best game of the year?
Absolutely, without a doubt. That was a joy to watch. Yeah, I don't watch many football games start to whole, but I watched that one start to whole. That was just a joy to see the Falcons execute on all facets of the game. Really, it could have been 45-7 if it wasn't for Calvin Ridley running that one wrong route. That was really the only bad thing that happened Sunday. Matt Ryan just continues to put on a masterful season. You have our makeshift defensive side getting it together. They're looking better and better, and that actually, like I said on Game Time Radio Sunday, this is going to help them in the long run. All these injuries, or if we're able to recover and make it to the playoffs, this is going to help them because you have guys that really shouldn't even be playing, learning the game, learning how to do good, and that's going to help them practice. That's going to help them in training camp next year because you have guys that have real game experience now, and that's going to push our normal starters to do even better.
These reserves now are getting into 6 or 7 games played together now, and to where you're starting to feel comfortable. You're now the safety position has been filled out enough now that where someone understands the pace of the game and is able to set the defense up. I definitely agree that this was the best game the Falcons have put together. Grady started with a sack early, set the pace for a good pass rush. It seemed that the pressure was on Alex Smith all game long. I thought this was the worst game Alex Smith had all year. But I really love the combination of Tevin Coleman and Ito Smith a lot more than I've ever liked Devonta Freeman alone. They're just two different styles of running, and they're very complementary of each other. Where to me, Tevin and Devonta were the same type of running back, and so you weren't seeing anything different. And Ito brings in the fact that he's also a great pass catching running back. So he's deadly on third down because you're able to throw a running screen, and he's got such a good burst of speed. But I agree that Julio finally getting that first touchdown was huge. It's been talked about, but he's having such a phenomenal year. I think he was averaging close to 110 a game, even without the touchdown. So, he's been such a huge part this year. But you only get recognized when you're in the end zone,
yeah.
And so
he's been great all year.
Yeah, it was nice to see him get the recognition and get in there. Calvin Ridley again. fantastic. I mean, what if he's not up there for Rookie of the Year this year? Something's wrong. I mean, he has been excellent.
Did you see that top 10 list that ESPN put out?
No, I didn't take a look. What did it say?
Yeah, he's not on there.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think to go.
Yeah,
that I cannot say on here.
We were talking about this, at work, and I was like, the Falcons draft strategy from now on should just be drafting an Alabama wide receiver every year. Forget everything. We'll just score 40 a game. Forget the defense, but
take it.
It was just great. I mean, it was great at the right time. A game that absolutely had to be won, because if you lose that game, you lose another game to the Saints, who were able to beat the Rams, and then Carolina also winning. And so you couldn't have afforded to lose another game. And as much as this pains me to say, that they needed to do, because the Seahawks took the loss, and so this moved them ahead. The Seahawks in the wild card. So it was just a big overall win. We talked last week about these next 3 games being the ones that they absolutely had to do if they wanted to make any type of playoff push. But I'll tell you what, as someone that's not the biggest fan of the Falcons but enjoys watching the Falcons, that team scares me in the playoffs. I would want nothing to do with them. I mean, it just so many weapons, and when it's rolling, it's rolling. And there's another big factor coming through that we're about to talk about right now that's a game changer for them, and that is Bruce Irvin signing with the Falcons and will start Sunday against the Browns. How big of a deal is this for Atlanta, Phil?
This is a pretty big deal. I think he's going to come in and he's going to have an impact as soon as Dan Quinn inserts him into the lineup. It's really an area Atlanta has struggled with. It definitely fits a need.
What you think, Daric?
I'm glad that we made a move, and I think this was the right move, getting a pass rusher, because we've struggled in the past with pass rushing, and I think this will just add on to it. And he's all in too. I don't know if you guys have seen, but on Twitter, you can just tell he's all in, and he's glad to be back in his home city to play for the home crowd. And I mean, people question his effort over the past year or so, but I think he's going to help the team a lot and help us win these games at the end of the season.
You got to figure he's been in a 4-3 system as a 3-4 pass rusher. When he went to Oakland, and he was able to get pressure on the quarterback. And I think this year, in very limited time, he had 3 sacks. And, this is 3 sacks guy playing in a system that he's not comfortable in. Imagine him being back in a 3-4. I've seen this guy play for many, many years. He's a game-changing pass rusher, and I think him being back with Q is only going to make him that much better. He is scary when he's on. He's a Pro Bowl defensive end when he's on. This was a huge get for them. I wasn't sure if they were gonna get him, because it just doesn't seem like the Atlanta thing to go pick up a position that they need. And then, from what I was reading, it said that he turned down bigger money from Pittsburgh and from New England. And Daric put it good. He said that first thing he did was he said he wanted this for his city. He wants to take this city to a championship, and that's the sole factor of why he turned down money and everything else, because he knows, as someone that's from here, how big a championship would be to this city. So I'm definitely excited to see him. I'm not sure Sunday if he'll make the impact, but give him a couple games, to get back into that, like I said, the 3-4 swing, and Q will have him back to being as good as he was when he left the Seahawks.
Yeah, and a message to Atlanta Twitter, because Atlanta Twitter is very short-fused. If he comes in here Sunday and does not have a good game, do not crucify him.
Well, it's coming.
Yeah. He could have 5 sacks and he'll get crucified. Come on now. But the other thing that's not really talked about all that much, but is going to be a huge factor, is him teaching Vic Beasley how to be an effective pass rusher. Vic really hasn't had, a strong mentor as a 3-4 expert like Irvin is, to mentor him into being, an effective pass rusher. So if Irvin can't get to Vic Beasley and get him back on track, then I think I'm ready to give up on Vic Beasley. But let's go into predictions for this Sunday. How much you think we are going to put up, and what's the score going to be, Phil?
31-20. It'll be a little more interesting than it needs to be because, that's just how Atlanta operates. But Cleveland is not a pushover this year. They're gonna compete.
Think, Daric?
I think we score about 30, maybe 35. I think we're gonna win by double figures, about 10. I think we're going to control most of the game. I think the Browns might give us a scare in the first quarter and make it look like it's going to be competitive, but I think we'll be able to take care of business.
Yeah, I could even see it being a little closer to 30-25.
Yeah, I think they're going to drop a 40 bomb. I don't know. I want to think that we can, destroy Cleveland. But you know who scares me the most is not Gurley, but running back.
Chubb.
Yes, Chubb. He scares me the most. Going against Atlanta, got a little bit of something to prove. But he worries me more than anything. So I think they are going to drop a 40 bomb on him, but I think it's going to be 42-28. But that's again, it's the Browns. If we don't win, then I told you guys last week, this is the game that scares me the most because you start overlooking teams, and that's when it's dangerous.
They can't get comfortable.
Yeah, has locked in and focused. Mm-hmm. Even when we were 1-4, you could say the team was still locked in and focused.
That's true. So, all right, let's hit college football time here. UGA wins the SEC East and will now play Alabama in the SEC championship game. For Georgia to have any chance of going into the college football playoffs, they have to win out against Auburn, UMass, Georgia Tech, and Alabama. Any chance they can pull it off, Daric?
Is there a chance? Yes. Will they? I don't know.
I mean, there's a chance anything.
But I mean, for first of all, before we even start thinking about December, I mean, you just can't sleep on Auburn. You just can't sleep on Auburn ever, no matter how their season going. I mean, they just moved into the top 25, beating a solid A&M team last week, and I mean, they want revenge. We beat them in the championship last year, and they're going to be coming looking for heads. And I mean, you just can't sleep on any team. And then you got Tech finishing off. No matter how Tech's season going, you can never sleep on that game because they're going to come out wanting to beat Georgia and ruin their season.
Especially wanting to beat Georgia at their, at Georgia Stadium. How huge would that be?
And then I mean, I don't want to think on it yet, but December. I think they have a chance. I think they have talent, but the experience, the Alabama team just being there, I don't know. I think it's just too much for Georgia at this moment right now. I mean, Georgia's a young team. And I think if we want to beat them, I think Justin Fields needs to be incorporated into the offense way more. I mean, I love Fromm. He's a great passer. He controls the offense well, but we just need that other weapon to be able to beat a team like that.
Got to be able to throw them off. That's the only way.
Yeah, I feel, especially if for some reason we can't get that running game going, Fields brings that dimension to where, he has the ability to pass and run with the ball. So that's a big change up. I've noticed, especially in the game where LSU dominated us, was that the running game just couldn't get nothing going on, and you force Fromm to pass, more than he normally would in a game, and it showed. I mean, they struggled horribly. He's he's a great game manager, but he's not just the best passer at all. So, but for me, Auburn scares me. I mean, I just having to win out is tough. Usually the college the playoff committee, they will always want to take the SEC champion. But Alabama kind of has a easier road to, the final game than we do. So I just don't see them, having a loss. And so, I don't think the committee is going to take a two-loss Georgia team, even with an SEC championship game win against Alabama. So take care of your business first with Auburn. But other thing to me is you don't think UMass wants to come in here and knock off somebody like that and make
UMass could barely beat UConn. So
I mean, they're obviously gonna come in thinking they're gonna win, but no.
Have we ever played UMass? I can't remember. I can't remember Georgia ever playing UMass.
UMass hasn't been good since I left Massachusetts.
I couldn't tell you one player on that team, so I'm gonna have to agree with that. I mean,
I forgot they were even a team.
Yeah, well, I had to look because I knew we had 3 games before the SEC championship game, and I knew one was Tech and I knew one was Auburn, but I had zero clue who we were playing in between there. So I had definitely had to do some research on that, and so then I looked up UMass. But again, teams teams that have nothing to lose scare me more than teams that have everything to lose. So, but I mean, I just
caliber, that's not happening.
Now maybe if Coach Richt was still here,
yes,
I can see, you can see that being an overlooked game, but there's no way Kirby doesn't have them prepared and ready, and giving them the business if they even start showing some kind of slacking against UMass. So
if Rick was still here, we would have 4 losses right now because we would not have recovered from that LSU game, or 3 losses, whatever.
I agree with you guys, though, that, there is a chance. There's always a chance, but man, Alabama's just one of the best teams I've ever seen.
Nobody's touching them. Nobody's touching
them. Again, even in a game, against LSU, look how they dominated them. It wasn't.
I was surprised.
Y'all don't think 2 SEC teams get in this year?
I think, but it's hard because, who else is there? You're not getting a Georgia team,
What if Notre Dame falls and Michigan falls?
No way. I think if they had one out and Alabama wins out, the SEC championship game wouldn't matter. Both teams would have got in. There's just
how Alabama slips up.
So I guess Alabama would probably be. I'd give them they would probably be in the top 4. Say if we beat them, if we both went out and then we beat them in the championship, I think they would probably still be in there. So then there would be 2 teams.
Yeah, I think that even if say Georgia loses to Auburn and then wins the SEC championship game against Alabama, I still think Alabama gets in over Georgia to into the college football playoffs. Again, that's
probably it would be hard to put a 2L team in above.
Because I don't see Clemson. I don't see Clemson losing, so I'm pretty sure they'll be in there. Alabama's pretty much locked a spot in. Unless they get upset, this is not going to happen. But unless they get upset in one of their final games, the other spots are up for grabs. Those are the questionable teams for sure. But there's still two undefeated teams outside of the top 5 right now. I know one was Central Florida, who's still trying to think that they're the national champions, even though everybody knows they're not. So
yeah, nobody's talking about them. Yeah.
But another scary team that's been playing really, really well that has a shot to get into that is Washington State. They have big wins. They have enough top 20 wins to where they're moving up in the polls a little bit. And I think them winning the Pac-12 is going to put them top 5, top 6, especially only being a 1-loss team as well. And so, but for that to happen, there would have to be, just like you said, a bunch of losses. I just can't see it. Because Notre Dame will stay in if they win out because the committee loves them, and Ohio State will be above anybody else because the committee loves exactly. Yep. Who's going to sell tickets in those top 4 games, is going to be the biggest thing. That's why Ohio State and Notre Dame are loved every single year.
College football fans better hope that Ohio State does not beat Michigan on the last game, because if they beat Michigan, then they're going to probably find their way into the playoffs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're in the same situation though as the SEC. I don't think they're going to take a 2-loss team, but like I said, the committee always has love for Ohio State or Michigan because of their fans will buy up those tickets quicker than anybody. So, but let's hope that they do take out, because I do think if we do win all 4, we're in for sure. I think Alabama and Georgia will both get in, and then you're going to have to, I think Clemson will take one of the other spots, and then it's going to be interesting to see who gets that Final 4 spot. It'll be Notre Dame if they win out, but Notre Dame doesn't have a championship game, so.
The bad thing about all this is being a Georgia fan, is if we beat Alabama to get in, guess what? We got to beat them again to win the ship, and that's not happening. That's not happening.
Yeah, could you imagine having to win 2 games against Bama to win a championship? That's a tough task to do, and I agree with you. I just don't think that could ever happen. So, but I said at the beginning of the year, I didn't think this year was the year for Georgia. I think next year is the year for Georgia.
Yeah. We look good now, but I think next year we're gonna let Fields come into the offense and let him throw the ball. I mean, we've barely seen him throw the ball this year in games not garbage time. So
I watched a lot of Fields high school tape, and I cannot wait. He's electric.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he's the real deal, and I agree with you. I wish they'd let him see the field a little bit more than they have, and more than just an option situations. The Wildcat situations. I'd like to see him really, take the offense and let him go with it.
He can do he can do so much in the RPO offense. I mean, because he has that arm, and people aren't going to expect it. But hopefully, he comes into the offense and is used as the weapon that he can be within.
Yeah. I mean, let's get through this year though, and let's, again, we're definitely all rooting for them to go all the way, and I'm excited, regardless, because even if we lose one of these first 3 games, we get a chance to upset Alabama, and that would, that'd be a big win for the program. Even if we went out, any one win against Bama would be huge for this program and Kirby Smart, especially after coming so close last year. But I used to think last year's Bama team was one of the best teams I've ever seen, and I think they're nothing compared to the team I've seen this year. So I said Bama from the beginning. I still think Bama at the end. So we'll have to wait and see going into these next few weeks. But let's just take care of business and worry about Bama when it comes time for Bama. So, all right, looks like we made it through pretty much everything as far as Atlanta sports. Let's get into some buy or sell to end the night. Le'Veon Bell must report this week, or he will not be able to play this season. He has teased leaving Miami, where he was training, and was also seen in a Pittsburgh gym. Buy or sell Le'Veon Bell returning to the Steelers, Daric?
So I think he ain't gonna play. I don't think he'll play this year. I mean, he's been out so long. It's just hard. I mean, it doesn't matter if you've worked out. It's just not the NFL speed, game time speed. So I think he's gonna just go ahead and sit out the rest of the year.
Buy or sell, Phil?
I'm a buy. I think he's gonna come back, and he's gonna look awful though. And they'll go back to James Conner.
At the beginning of this year, I would have been buying this like crazy. But the fact that James Conner has stepped in and handled this offense, I don't think Pittsburgh really wants him to come back now.
It's more of a distraction now.
Yeah, Yeah, now it's a distraction.
Some reports really that even the locker room is split at this time.
Yeah, I don't think anybody saw Connor being as good as he has been, and they really haven't missed a step. And then the other thing is going into, I think they said I was reading that Le'Veon's contract, they can't do the franchise thing or something next year. So So why not just sit at home, rest the legs up? You're going to get a huge free agent contract regardless of where you go, whether you sat out this year or not, because you're going to be on a year's worth of fresh legs. I just don't – I'm surprised that he's not back. I figured he would have been back. I thought he was going to come back after their bye week. But, it's interesting to see. This is someone doing something like this that's never been done. People have sat out 2 or 3 games, or sat out the preseason. But, he just thinks his worth is, worth more than, the franchise tag.
But will he ever make up this money? I mean, at this point, we're talking about he's giving up millions of dollars. Like, is his next contract even going to get him back to what he would have made if he just would have waited?
Yeah. I think someone's going to give it to him. I mean, you got so many teams that are running back deficient. And again, it's hard. I kind of understand where he's coming from because there is nobody like him. You don't have the single touch running backs anymore that are, taking as many carries as he carries in a single season. He's not a split back guy. He will be if he comes back to Pittsburgh this year. He'll be splitting them with James Conner, but he's so different. So I do think that someone will overpay for him and give him what he wants, but certainly not going to be Pittsburgh. All right. Michael Thomas of the Saints, after a touchdown Sunday, recreated the infamous Joe Horn cell phone call celebration. Buy or sell Joe Horn celebration being the best touchdown celebration ever? Go ahead, Phil.
Sell, because the Saint player did.
It was so original when it happened. That was, I remember seeing Horn do that, and I thought, man, that's pretty creative. So, buy or sell, Daric?
I'm gonna have to go ahead and sell. I think my favorite has to be T.O. running to the star. That's one of my favorites. Uh-huh. And then on the bias side is when Roddy White lifted up his free Michael Vick shirt.
Yeah, that was a cool one too. I saw that game.
When you talk celebrations, you always got to shout out the classic Lambeau Leap.
Yeah. That's my, things like they say, like on your bucket list of sporting things. I think doing the Lambeau Leap would, be on like my bucket list of like sport things to do. It just seemed kind of cool. I know a lot of people that when they get traded to Green Bay, they think that's the coolest thing ever. They get to go and run and jump into the crowd. I'm always a big fan of any kind of interaction like that. Obviously I'm not a fan of Cam Newton, but I really love that, his celebration involves giving the ball to a kid. It just, those kind of fan interactions are what keep the game going. But I'm actually going to sell. I think Ezekiel Elliott, when he jumped into the Salvation Army bucket in the Christmas game, it was awesome. I laughed so hard. And the fact that it raised so much money for the Salvation Army that week, and he matched it with a $35,000 donation himself. And so, it doubly made it as good that, they were able to raise money for it. It was just, I think that was his rookie year, and he was such a goofball, and I just thought that was one of the best ones I've ever seen. But Joe Horn, to me, that's a close second, though. So I really, I'm a fan of letting them celebrate. I've seen some really creative ones this year, especially.
I do like him doing celebrations a lot. Not just only the fan one, just everything he does. He just has that swagger to it.
The Seahawks, they worked on all year. They've been working on like different skits and routines to do during their touchdown celebrations. So they've had some pretty creative ones this year. I haven't really seen the Falcons really do too many crazy ones yet, but I think they're more like just get to work kind of team. I can't see like Julio doing that. I can't see Matt Ryan doing that. So
Julio did some stuff last year. What did he do after that Sanu touchdown pass? They did the little stop go.
We need more Dirty Bird. That's what we need to see in the end zone. All right, Duke. opened up its college basketball season by absolutely destroying Kentucky. Shout out to Justin. 118-84 on Tuesday night. Buy or sell Duke winning the NCAA championship this year, Derek?
All the way in. Buy. That talent. They have 3 players that. Okay, 2 that are going into the top, are getting picked in the top 10, bearing injuries, and Cam Reddish. I mean, he's right there too. He's a top 15. He could sneak into the top 10. It just depends on how he plays. But that team is very good. I mean, they lack depth, but I think that team's just too talented.
Phil, you buying or selling?
I'm a buy. That team could beat the Cavaliers right now. No, I'm just playing.
Paul Pierce did say that today, I think.
That team's good.
That, I'm actually gonna, buy 100% as well. I watched that game, the whole game, and my first thought was, wow, all 5 of these guys could go in the first round. 3 are going to go in the top 10. And add in Coach K to that mix, but you know what's kind of funny to me though is it seems like the better Duke teams seem to be the ones that always get upset, like in the first or second round. It's always, their championship runs that they have made have been with their lesser talented teams, or they've had more seniors on the team, and this is such a young Duke team. And that's, the one and done type thing, and, in the NCAA tournament is, it's harder sometimes on these teams that are, so favorable. But, even with that said, I mean, how can you not buy? I mean, Kentucky is a top team themselves, and they made them just look absolutely horrible. So
we haven't seen a team this talented in a while.
Yeah, I agree. This is, I've seen a lot of Duke basketball being a North Carolina basketball fan. So, this might be one of the better Duke teams overall, that I've ever seen put together. And that's hard to believe because they've had some fantastic teams, in the last 10, 15 years. So it's hard to believe that a team now could be better than any of them. But we'll have to wait and see how they do throughout the season. It was just one game. But I think they can make a run at an undefeated season this year. I mean, they're just that good. So I'm sure North Carolina will have something to say about that. When they come in, it's that rivalry. So if there's any kind of upset that could happen, it could be through North Carolina. But I just not seeing it. I'd love to see a men's basketball team make a run like UConn does on the women's side, and just dominate through and, make it through the NCAA title and, go undefeated all the way through that. But it's going to be interesting to see. But I'm telling you what, if they play like they play on Tuesday, there's nobody beating them. All right. Our last buy and sell, actually just came up with this one. LaMelo Ball is returning to high school. Buy or sell the Ball family, Phil?
I'm put them on layaway because they built a really good brand and a really good name for themselves. But there's just a lot of theatrics. So, but at the end of the day, they've done some pretty good stuff, and hey, all that matters, they're set for life pretty much. No matter if they make it bigger or what, they're set for life. So you gotta respect that.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy, but that was one of their biggest mistakes, was sending both of them off overseas, especially LaMelo Ball. He needed to stay in high school and go and play in college. And I'm pretty sure he's still not going to be able to play in college because of him signing an agent. I'm pretty sure I'm not 100%, but I think that was one of their worst decisions.
How is he able to play? Well, how was he able to play high school ball taking money on the pro side? That's what I didn't understand.
I think it's fine. I don't think there's any rules against that. I don't think so.
Would they just consider it like a high school job?
Because I mean, yeah, you can get paid while you're in high school. So I mean,
I'm gonna buy. I sell them as basketball talent. I just think they're overrated basketball wise. But man, how could you not buy them as a business? I mean, it starts with their dad and the hype, and then goes through with the three boys. Anybody to me that can sell a $700 pair of shoes and sell out on a website, if you can convince people to buy $700 shoes, you're a genius. That's all I gotta say. I mean, and then they just came out and said that now they're gonna come out with a newer brand that's going to be in that $200 cheaper range. I don't know how much anybody pays for sneakers.
And those shoes look way better than the first ones that came out.
I haven't seen them. I just heard, that was happening in. So, but yeah, I mean, I definitely buy them as a business. I mean, like you said, they're set for life because their dad has such a business mind, and I always live by the motto: controversy creates cash. And who's more controversial in that game than Daddy Ball? But if you notice though, this year, LeBron and Magic got him on mute. I haven't heard one thing really about him the entire year.
I did see a report. It was like last week. He said he could coach the Lakers with his eyes closed or something like that. It was something crazy. I don't know if it was true, but it was a report from a credible source. I forget who the source was.
Well, Luke's job was in trouble last week, so that they might need a new coach. It was nice to see LeBron come out and support a coach for once instead of throwing them all under the bus. But it took what, a year and a half for him and Spoelstra to get going on in Miami.
You can't expect them to just know what to do, especially with a player like that. I mean, they're the same age.
Mm-hmm. So but the problem is Magic's got them unreal expectations. He thinks they're the next Showtime.
They gotta, I mean, they gotta win now.
Yeah,
they gotta win.
Going to.
Oh yeah, they're not, especially not this year. But
yeah, that'll be an interesting thing to see, because I don't think that Magic's going to give the leash that Pat Riley gave to Spoelstra when he was handling that situation. But the Lakers, to me, so far have been the most disappointing team this year. So that's not going to happen when they've committed the money that they've committed to making the Lakers what they are. Just can't have that happen. Those fans will tune out quick. So, all right, let's.
I got one more quick one to add.
Oh, what's up?
I was just scrolling Instagram and I see Trae Young getting cut at the swag shop before the game yesterday. Buy or sell the swag shop.
Go ahead, Bob.
That, to me, buy. That was the coolest thing. When we walked around the arena and you were showing me everything, and I came back and told the guys, I said, man, I walked around that thing and it's so much improvement. But man, all I could think of was, man, that must be cool to sit in that barber chair and get a cut while you're sitting there while you're watching the game. I'm 100% buying. I thought that was awesome, and it's so unique. I don't know anybody. You can get a fade and watch a game. You can't do that anywhere else.
Yeah, I'm about to buy. That's, like you said, it's so unique. I ain't never heard of nothing like that. And it's so Atlanta. Like, that's something you would expect from a team in Atlanta.
But your barber, it better be like a barber shop where you could talk, chat sports, chat what's going on the hood. Like, I make it sound like I know what's chatting going on the hood. We know better than that, but but I mean, I've been in some barbershops, and it's an enjoyable experience, and so my question was, Phil, do you know how much it costs? That's what everybody's been asking me. How much does it cost for a cut?
I'm trying to find out. I know it's more than it probably should be. Hey, I don't go to I cut my own hair, so
nah, you got to do it one time, Phil. I mean, you got season tickets. You're there all the time, so you got to do it one time.
For the how I represent the Hawks, I am gonna have to go next.
You got to do it one time.
If the two, since the two of us are the only ones that live here, and I'm going bald, and you've got the most hair, that means it's up to you to go test it out and see how much it is.
I'm gonna definitely check it out. I'm gonna definitely check it out before the season.
It is definitely one of the coolest features of any arena I've ever seen. Like I said, no one else has it that I know of, and it's something that when people talk about the stadium, the arena, that's something that you can do. Oh, did you see the barber shop? Or they got that barber shop? And, those are the kind of features when, like things like the All-Star game come out here, they're going to make that a feature thing. Some of them guys going into the barber shop, getting a quick cut before the game. It is really, really good topic piece for the Hawks to have. So, yeah, that was actually a good one. Where were you when I was looking for suggestions on this earlier? We could have had Mickey Mouse, but no, we got to talk about the haircuts. So, all right, let's call it a night. Phil, ending shout outs, man. Who you shouting out tonight?
Definitely shout out all of y'all on the site. Our people that aren't on with us tonight. Shout out Game Time Radio. Shout out the whole city of Atlanta. Shout out everybody that went and voted this week, record numbers. Shout out friends, family, everybody in my life. Shout out everybody.
Right. I ain't got a big list like Phil, but we're gonna shout out the crew, that the West Side crew. We're gonna shout out the Falcons. Hopefully we come in and get another big win. And shout out the Bulldogs. Keep fighting.
My shout outs to you guys, the listeners. Tell a friend. Tell the friends' friends. Have your friends tell their friends' friends. Let's get the word out about this podcast. We really enjoy doing this for you guys, and so we want to continue to do that. But we need some views and some shout outs on Twitter would help. Let's get this thing. Let's get this game rolling. So that's my shout outs to the listeners. So, well, thanks for listening to the ATL Sports HQ live podcast, and we will see you next week.